the backhand, the two-handed backhand from scratch. So I will go through the 7 checkpoints, the grip, the unit turn, the loading phase, the acceleration phase, the contact point, the follow through, and the finish. And I use today the two-hander. And the first video we shot on the forehand side was a huge success. So I hope you guys are gonna enjoy this one. And as always, please subscribe to our channel if you like what we do, and click the notification buttons on so you're the first to get when we post new videos. So let's get to the grip, guys. So what I like to teach the players on the right hand as a right-hander is the continental grip. Okay, so you can work with the bevel where you have 8 bevel, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all right? And those 8 bevels, the top bevel is number 1, the second bevel here is number 2. So in that second bevel right here, the one on the side here, if you put the index knuckle and the heel pad and you draw a line right here and you put the right hand, the index knuckle on that second bevel, you get the continental grip. Another way how you get the grip is if you put, that's for beginner player, very, very useful. They use that, I use that, and it works great. They just put the racket in the armpit and grab around here, and doing that, they think they take a sword out and you get a pretty good continental grip as well. So those are my 2 favorite ways to show the continental. Either you work with the index knuckle right here and the heel pad and you draw a line and you put it on bevel number 2, or you do the sword thing. So now we have the right hand in the right place. So what I like to teach is with the left hand, that's the bevels. If you put the bevel on bevel number 7 of the left side, so which is the right here, it's the eastern forehand grip for your left hand, right? So you just put that on there, and then you put the left hand, what's important, above the right thumb of the right hand. So there's no space, it's right there. Some players like to have a semi-western on the left hand, and if you think about the two-handed backhand, either way is fine. The left hand can be an eastern or a semi-western. Think about it. If you take, I tell my players always, take the right hand away, and it's what? It's like a forehand with your left hand. Once that clicks, they will understand how important the grip is and what they're actually doing with that backhand. So those 2 ways are the easiest ways to get the right grip. And now on the next video, we're going to talk about the take back. So the take back on the backhand. So we talked about the grip, we have the right grip, right? So the first thing, no matter what you do, always is that split step, that short split step. On the take back, as on the forehand, you want to keep the arms nice and out in front of you, because when you turn later on and the arms are out, most likely when you're setting up for your shots, you're going to have a good distance under the armpits and you're going to start to pull from the left side. Problem is, too many players keep the arms here, they turn, and then I call it T-Rex arms, or however we call it. You're gonna have the elbows too close, and what that does is when you turn, you're gonna have a lot of angular momentum, and you cannot control the ball, you cannot put so much topspin on there. So we really need to make sure that we set the tone for the unit turn with the arms out, and that players rotate in the upper body with the arms out. So that's going to set you up for a great position once you. So how can you teach players to get the feel for it? So one simple, easy way is you hold the racket out like this, and you let them rotate to the left, and the upper body rotates against the lower body. So that's how people can get a feel for the upper body rotation. That is very important, because now, since they have the right grip and the arms are out, you do the same thing and you let them think about the engine of the rotation is that right shoulder. That's always my Q-tip. And then I let them rotate up here. So let them feel that there's a pre-stretch here, okay? So when they hit, they turn the shoulder. Another great tip is the chin. If you look at Novak's backhand, right, when he turns, the chin is above the shoulder up here, that's how much stretch there is in the back, right? So they go right here. So if it's an open stance one, right, he goes like this. And again, he's like right here. So he looks over his shoulder, and the chin is above the shoulder. It's a cue where you can see you're loading really good. So now, let's say a regular ball's coming, you go out, you turn here, and in that turn, make sure your left elbow is a tiny bit bent, because later on when you hit, you need to extend it, right? So you cannot, I tell my players, there's no power if you have both arms extend. There's nothing you can do. I know I should not use it probably, but when you hit someone, you can't do any damage if you have a straight arm. If you have a bent arm and you go, that's gonna be more efficient. So now, on the turn, the left arm is a tiny bit bent, and the right arm is straight. The strings point somehow to the side or side forward a little bit. So that's a great position, because later on, when the ball comes, you're sideways or you're open, doesn't matter. Let's talk about the regular shot where you have time. So you're closing your stance. Then you have a really good chance to have angular and linear momentum going. So you pull from this left side, right here, and then you try, when you hit the ball, you go forward, out, and up. So we're gonna talk about the next steps in a second. So that turn sets you up for a great backhand, and it is one of the most important things and the easiest and best fix for being not rushed on the court is quick split and a turn as soon as you determine where the ball is going to come. That's why you never see a Rafa or Novak or Roger late, because they split, they see the balls come to the backhand, and they're turned, they're ready. So many players, they're flat-footed, they don't turn, and then they're late on the shots. And that's one of the key factors why players don't have a good backhand, and it's the easiest fix. So, all right, guys, this was on the turn. Now the loading, and on the loading phase, so we turn, let's say we have a close stance, make sure on the loading phase that you distribute the weight nicely from the back here to the front. So the weight shift is so important that you're loading. So you go out, you put the weight and turn on the back leg, and you shift to the forward, to the front leg. So that weight shift is crucial, because you want momentum already to help you with the shot. You do not want a shot where you hit out of the arm. That's a lot of times when players play, they go and they hit out of the arm and they use their upper body. It's a unit, it's a functional movement from the lower and upper body when you hit a backhand and a forehand and any shot. So when you're loading the legs, make sure that you shift from the left to the right leg, and that you try to give the ball a nice, powerful explosion from the legs. So the hips, when the hips snap in, the racket's gonna drop in the leg phase, and the hip snap gonna release that energy forward into the racket. It all starts from the legs. The ground force, you push into the ground. That's why the loading is so important, because that's where we get energy from. The big muscles run the show. So when you're out here and you're loading into your hip of the back leg and you go forward and snap the hip in, that's the perfect weight transfer to put all the energy you stored into the shot. And if I don't go into details, I don't want to go so far into details, but as long as you store your energy, as more you're going to lose of the energy. So there's a certain time frame, and I always tell players, think about it as a basketball player that wants to dunk, right? So if someone goes down here and waits 4 seconds, all the stored energy is gone. So especially if that's for all the shots, for the forehand, backhand, so you squat a little bit and you come out. And there's a certain degree, which is the perfect position. I don't know what it was, 20 degrees. And you go down and you go up. And the same here. You load your back leg, you put your weight, you put the weight on the back leg, you load your hips there, and you load into your hips, and then you go forward and out. And the same on the open stance as well. So you go out, you turn, and it's very important that we have good flexibility in the hips, and that we have strong muscles here, that we have good hamstrings, good thighs, good muscles right here, so we can push off and hit that ball. So the loading is immensely important, and especially having good muscles to support the whole system. So guys, the contact point on a regular shot, you always want to have, like on the backhand, you want to be around, actually since I use two hands, it's right where the front foot is kind of. And this is, the contact is so important. When you see now, I'm going to show you one mistake I see too often. So the contact should be out this way and in front, right there where the front foot is. A lot of times when players hit, that's one of the most common mistakes I see, is they pull here. So they let the ball get too close and the contact is just too jammed. So they try to hit it and they're never able actually to hit out there. So a couple of ways you can do to improve that. So you can draw on clay like kind of a half circle with an arrow on the ground where they have to follow out, right? So they're here and they follow that half circle out to the point of contact. So it's more like a motion like this, right? So you want to follow that arrow, and it's not like coming from here. That's one thing. If you're on clay court, it's a very good way to be able to fix that. So you go, you point that out a little bit. And another great way to being able to understand that you go out there is you just give the player a clue. If they look at the ball, you just let them know you try to hit 7 o'clock as a right hand on the ball and you go up to 2. So just telling them to think about they go to 7 and 2 will most likely let them go more out with the arms and contact the ball a little bit more out and in front instead of pulling from here. So the contact point, as I said, front foot, and yeah, that was the main thing what I saw over the years in coaching. The main mistake is that a lot of players just get too close to that ball and they don't understand the concept what I just explained. So the next thing is the follow through. So on a two-hander, once we make contact on the here, right here, so Novak does that beautiful right there out here, you go as long as you can through. Remember that. It's not you go to contact and roll it, so it's not you go here and do this. Too many players do this. Try after you hit to let the left arm, think about what I said earlier, the left is like a left-handed forehand. You want to go out, and in the last moment you roll it up. So when you go and hit here, you want to go out as long as you can, and then you roll it up, okay? So that you need the support of the linear momentum until you go really and curve that racket up there and brush that ball. So the follow through, think about it, you're left-handed, you're a left-handed forehand. And one of the things for the follow through is what you can do as a player. You have the coach putting the hand at the contact right there, for example, like they're holding against it. And you have to start to push against it slow. So then he lets go, or she, and then the racket goes automatically up. Now that's one really good way to get the feel for the follow through. Right there, and you have to push against the coach's hand, and then they let go and you go up there. So that's going to force you to go a little bit more through. Another great thing is for the follow through, if you saw in one of my other videos, I had a pool noodle, and you go and you cut the strings out of one of your rackets. When they break, you just take the strings out, and the coach holds the pool noodle, so right here, so the pool noodle is right there, and you just follow into that pool noodle, he pulls it out and you go up. So that, therefore, you always going to extend your arm and follow through. It's a really good drill as well. So the two things with tactile, where the coach holds the strings, or you use a pool noodle for that extension. It's a really good method. It's going to help you to develop a really great follow through. And the finish. So the finish of the shot, ideally on a regular shot, we want to go up above the shoulders on a regular shot. So the hit, and you go above the shoulders. So when you're done, I always give the cue. The kids or the adults, you kiss your biceps. So when you hit the ball, you hit it, you go out and you go up and kiss the biceps. And there must be a lot of space here that you can put a volleyball over under the armpit. So if you go really, you hit it and you go up and you have enough space here to put a volleyball on there, then you know you did a great job on the follow through. There are obviously ways where when someone comes to the net and you want to flick one short angle, you go from pocket to pocket, right? So you have a different ending point on the shot. You want to lob, right? Sometimes you go like this, sometimes you lob and block. And yeah, there are different ways how you're going to finish the shot. It all depends on what kind of situation you're on the match. What I was referring to was a regular shot where you have time to hit. And all the other things, you have to know all the finishes in tennis. So you have to know the pocket to pocket one, you have to know the halfway one here, you have to know the straight one up, you have to know the block. There's so many things you have to have in your game arsenal to be successful, to have like a great backhand, right? So I hope all this whole series helped you a little bit. I gave you a couple of ideas what you can do, and as always, subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the notification buttons on so you get all the new videos, guys. Thank you. This was Davor from Tennis House.